Last week saw the release of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and with it came a whole boatload of Easter eggs, secrets and references for players to find. And in today's video, I'll be covering 30 of those Easter eggs, secrets and references. Now, of course I'm not perfect, so there is a chance that I may have missed something, and if you think I have, then the best places to let me know are in the comment section or on my social media accounts, the links to which are in the description. Also, it should really go without saying, but this video will contain spoilers for several of the unlocks found in Rift Apart, so consider this your spoiler warning. Oh, and if you do go on to enjoy this video, then leaving a like is super appreciated and always manages to make me smile. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. So the majority of the Easter eggs in Rift Apart can be seen when you obtain the Rhino 8 super weapon. To unlock this damage dealing behemoth, you'll need to find the 10 collectible spy bots, which if you use a guide, aren't too difficult to hoover up. After collecting the 10th spy bot, Miss Zircon will give you a call telling you that she's crafted the Rhino 8 for you, and that's where the fun begins. Well, sort of. If you want to see the various Easter eggs and references that the Rhino 8 produces, you'll need to upgrade it so that you can pull objects in from other dimensions. Now after you've done that, things get really cool. Whenever you fire the Rhino 8, there is a chance that a famous PlayStation character, vehicle or enemy will appear. And yes, that really is as awesome as it sounds. A lot of these special cameos are a case of blink and you'll miss it, so you'll need to be quick with the in-game photo mode to pause the action and get a closer look, but it's definitely worth it. First up is a barrel of Overcharge. Overcharge is of course the fictional energy drink found in the brilliant Sunset Overdrive. Speaking of Sunset Overdrive, you can also summon Fizzy, the Overcharge mascot found in the game. Oh, and quick side note, I hope these references to Sunset Overdrive mean that we may get a sequel sometime in the near future, especially as Sony now owns the IP. The next series to get the Rhino 8 treatment are the Sly Cooper games. First up, you can summon Sly himself, who is looking as suave as ever, the trusty Cooper van, which the team uses to travel from heist to heist, and even Sly's best friend Bentley finds the time to drop by. Up next are perhaps my favourite references produced by the Rhino 8. Purely because they look so damn cool. Up first is a Sawtooth, one of the machines from the Horizon Zero Dawn series. And even more impressive is the gigantic Thunderjaw, which will require you to shoot at the sky to summon it due to just how big it is. The next PlayStation series to be teleported into Rift Apart is Uncharted. First up is the Roadhog's rental Jeep that was seen in Uncharted 4. Also, in a really nice touch, the license plate is the same as the one we saw in Uncharted 4. This is significant because the license plate, when turned upside down, spelt out Elena, the name of Nathan Drake's wife. Oh, and her last name was Fisher, hence the fish on the license plate. Next up is the Ferber Dagger, which was seen in Uncharted 2, and finally, if you aim at the sky, a very familiar plane will drop by. This plane is of course Victor Goddamn Sullivan's plane, first seen in Uncharted 1. The final Sony series to be summoned by the Rhino 8 is Jak Daxter. Firstly, you can actually summon Jak himself, where he will pose up a storm before vanishing again, and finally you can summon a precursor orb, which are the currency in the Jak Daxter games. So I think that's it as far as references that can be seen when wielding the awesome Rhino 8, but if you think I've missed one, then please let me know. Time for a quick detail that you may not have noticed now. On the planet of Savali, you can find a hot spring. Well, if Ratchet is tired of trying to save the world and decides to chill in the spring, he will do this.
It's got your name on it.
So Ratchet lets out a contented sigh. I'm sure he's earned a day off. Now in Rift Apart you have the option to customise Rivet or Ratchet with a variety of different armour sets. Each set comes with some added bonuses like extra damage against a certain faction or the chance that enemies may drop more nuts and bolts. Well, if I was to show you this armour, does it remind you of anything? For me, my first thought was Bumblebee from Transformers. Now this one may seem a little vague, so let me know what you think. So we've already established that collecting all of the spy bots in Rift Apart rewards you with the Rhino 8, but there are more collectibles that offer some seriously cool rewards. In particular, the golden bolts in Rift Apart unlock several different ways to play the game. For example, if the idea of collecting nuts and bolts proves to be a bit too boring for you, you can change up the look of the valuable bits and bobs. Here are what the Orb Collectibles look like. Now, I don't know about you, but these remind me of the magic orbs that you could collect in the God of War series. Next up are these coins, which appear to have the head of a Lombax printed on them. Now, these could be a reference to the coins found in the Mario games, or they could just simply be coins. Again, let me know what you think. Oh, and speaking of Nintendo, you can also select rupees, which look an awful lot like the collectibles found in the Zelda series. Finally, and definitely my favourite, you can change the nuts and bolts to cans of Overcharge from Sunset Overdrive. Nuts and bolts aren't the only things that can be changed with gold bolts. You can also change the melee weapons that Ratchet and Rivet use, with my personal favourite being this key. Of course, this key weapon is a reference to the Keyblade from the Kingdom Hearts series. Now, for those of you who have played another Insomniac title, Spider-Man Miles Morales, you may recall the appearance of the Insomniac logo at the beginning of the game. I mean, it was pretty hard to miss. Well, it turns out there is an Insomniac logo hidden in Rift Apart, except this one is a little trickier to spot. If you hop behind Zerky's bar, you can find the logo hiding away in a corner. So usually I don't cover references found in trophies, but the ones in Rift Apart are pretty good. First up is the trophy called Must Go Faster, which can be unlocked by doing a trick jump at max speed whilst wearing the awesome hover boots. This trophy is a reference to this scene from the original Jurassic Park.
Must go faster.
There's also a trophy called Lombax and Chill, which can be unlocked after turning on the TV in Rivet's hideout. And finally, there is a trophy called Too Fast, Too Nefarious, which can be earned after completing the game, and is of course a nod to Too Fast, Too Furious. Now, as I've said multiple times, there is a chance that I may have missed something here, so be sure to point it out if I have. So the final Easter eggs from Ratchet and Clank are found in another type of collectible. Lorbs are the recordings of a researcher who was tasked with mapping all of the dimensions, which is no easy feat. Well, some of the dimensions visited may sound familiar. For example, here is the recording from Lorb number 3.
Mapped my first dimension today. Pretty standard stuff, except the colors there were so vivid, like, whoa. And there were these creatures. One of them even looked like a Lombax, but he had smaller ears, a mask, and a cane, and I think he was pulling some kind of heist? Whatever it was, it looked cool.
So the world being described was of course that of Sly Cooper, with talk of a Lombax-like creature with only smaller ears, a mask and a cane, of course being our friend Sly. It's even mentioned that he was in the middle of pulling off a heist, so it was an average Wednesday for Sly and the crew. The next Lorb of interest is Lorb number 4.
Second dimension down, not as colorful as the first one, but the creatures were definitely stranger. Their bodies were made out of all these old relics, but they could break apart and still be alive. It was so wild. And now I wish I had asked Caden for more time. I just want to learn the stories of all these dimensions.
So this recording speaks of creatures whose bodies were made up of old relics and could be broken apart and pieced back together again. The world in question is that of PS4 launch game, Knack. The penultimate Lorb is Lorb number 7.
I know I was going to stop doing these recordings, but I can carve out some time every once in a while. Just, I'm a genius. Dimension 31x7, not super different from home, but there were these creatures. One was firing a gun and spinning himself around every other second, while the other hung out on his shoulder doing live commentary. Oh, I wanted to hang out with them so badly.
So this world, that was not too different from his own, is the world of Jak and Daxter. Finally, Lorb 9 describes this.
Dimension 242Y8, quite possibly the cutest dimension I've ever seen. Oh, the inhabitants were all made out of wool, I think. They could literally make anything. And there was a really pleasant voice following me around everywhere. Oh, it was incredible. Oh, and what's even better? I think I'm finally close to mapping my last dimension.
So this cute woolly world is of course a nod to Little Big Planet. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you're a fan of Easter eggs, secrets, and hidden details in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. As always, if you think I've missed something, then please let me know, be it in the comments section or on my social media accounts. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.